Welcome. So here's the thing. I want to break down how much of your peace, of your energy, and your sense of self, how much of that are you handing over to other people? Right? Giving over our peace isn't always obvious. Sometimes it's about control and not allowing others to control you. Sometimes we give our power away when we let somebody else's opinion determine how we feel about ourselves. And that is tricky. Um, for me personally, my life has gone a little full circle. I am an only child and was raised by both my parents, but mainly my mom, right? And so her words weigh heavily. Not only do her words weigh heavily, sometimes you don't even understand how much of someone whose words weigh heavily continue to ring through messages that you learned as you were growing up, right? So think about how much you are giving your power away by old messages, right? Because now I'm in a situation where my mom lives with me and she's a lot older and the world has changed a lot, but she still has her thoughts built on the way that she grew up, right? Built on the way that she raised me. But I'm a ripe old age right now. And again, the world has changed. How and who I am and how I go about the world has changed in several areas. So I need to think really clearly about how much her words still affect my actions, right? So letting somebody else's opinions determine who you are now. Sometimes we have to shed some things. Sometimes we have to rethink some things. Sometimes we have to uncover some things because we might not even realize how their thoughts and their words are affecting us and how much their limiting beliefs have relayed and been a part of who you are. And so a lot of thinking goes along with that. Sometimes we assume we know also what someone meant instead of asking them because of who we are, because of what we believe, right? And so we need to ask, right? Sometimes we say things that we really don't mean. That's a way to give our power away. Sometimes we expect ourselves to be perfect. And that is still something I think I call myself a recovering perfectionist. I'll always be removing the layers from, right? Sometimes, and I don't do this nearly as much as I used to, but I used to over explain all of my choices. I think I was seeking validation outside of myself. Sometimes we're giving away our power because we react too quickly, right? Instead of pausing to think about it. And sometimes it's about our own bias. And we have to begin to peel some of those layers like you would peel the layers of an onion. And I will be very transparent in letting you know that this particular offering was inspired by the Four Agreements. And that's a book by Ruiz, Miguel Ruiz. Someone gave me this book after I trained several other educators to be wellness champions as well as yoga instructors. And so it was the person who was doing the production. And so She gave it to me as a gift. And I think I got that gift, probably 6 or 7 years ago. But I did not initially read it. I was not familiar with it. And it's a book, I think they're celebrating the 30th anniversary now. This is a book that's been around for quite a long time. And it's a really short read. But I wanted to talk about how much your peace and your energy and your sense of self you're handing over to others with the framework of the four agreements. And so the first agreement is being more intentional with your words. And I think in the book it actually says be impeccable with your word. And so to me, being impeccable with your word um, was my word to other people. But in the book, it reflects back on be impeccable with your word to yourself. Are you keeping the things that you promised yourself? Are you keeping those promises? Are you showing up with integrity to yourself? Right? So, also, be impeccable with your word is really not about mistakes necessarily. Um, it's not about the mistakes that you make, it's about kind of the words that you say to yourself as well. Do you speak kindly to yourself? When you make a mistake, do you talk down to yourself? Do you think you're not able to do anything anymore because of perhaps your age? What are the words that you are saying to yourself? Sometimes we can get so hung up because we're repeating negative words that we may not even realize, right? Do you say things like, I can't get anything right? Because your words hold power. And so if you're saying something like that, then that's what's going to show up for you. So be careful about the words that you speak to yourself because we want to reinforce a more positive story. So maybe pause before speaking, especially when you're emotional, right? Kind of know what your own triggers are that you may be saying to yourself, right? So that's about being impeccable with your word. So know also that everything starts with a thought. I teach this all the time. Thoughts eventually become words that eventually become choices and decisions that eventually become behaviors, right? So think about being impeccable with your word and start with self. The second habit is stop making other people's behaviors about you. So don't take anything personally, is the way that it's framed in the book. And I think this one is pretty big, right? Sometimes we think when somebody doesn't return a call or they don't invite you to something, or maybe the text seems really short or the message seems really short. Maybe even somebody is disagreeing with you, right? Sometimes it's just about them. It doesn't have anything to do with you. Don't make up this story that goes along with that short text, right? Don't make up the story that they don't respect me. They're not respecting my time. They're not getting right back to me, right? Or they don't like me. It's typically not about us, it's more about them. What if their behavior is about what they're carrying and has nothing to do with you? Doesn't necessarily mean you're being disrespected in that moment. So try not to take things so personally, right? Pause and maybe even learn to give it a minute. Or maybe if it isn't a normal way of acting or responding to you, or that you perceive it being abnormal, give them the benefit of the doubt, particularly if it's someone you're in a relationship with. And understand that people are busy. So don't take things so personally. Habit number 3, don't make assumptions. I think this is especially relevant when we're talking about relationships. Maybe we see a facial expression, right? Or maybe we're reading something into, again, a message that's in a text or in an email. Someone, again, doesn't respond the way you expect them to. And suddenly, we created an entire movie about that in our head, right? Don't make assumptions. Reach out sometimes. I remember once someone had asked me a question or asked me to do something, and then I responded right back, and they didn't get right back to me. And I thought, I made up a whole story about it. I wonder if they found somebody else to do it. Wonder if they thought somebody would be better at it. I wonder, I went back and read my response, right? Are they mad? They don't care. Um, Maybe they're talking about me because now they don't want me anymore, right? So instead of all that, try asking them, can you help me understand what happened? And sometimes something actually happened to the person where they weren't able to respond. Maybe they got sick, right? So maybe instead of making those assumptions and taking it so personally, think maybe there's something I don't know here, right? This is sometimes nervous system work too, because assumptions can create a psychological response to something that hasn't even happened yet, right? Habit number 4, do your best. And when I was reading the book for the first time, this is the one that I really resonated with. Do your best, right? Because doing your best doesn't mean always doing the most. And that was kind of eye opening to me. At the time, I was doing a lot of training at work and I needed things to be set up. I'm the type of person where I like to get it done early because rushing brings me anxiety. And I was working with a team of people that didn't carry those same views, let us just say. So then I became the person who was controlling everything. I was showing up first. I was making sure all our audio visual needs were met. I made friends with all the people on the AV team because I needed the mics to work. And I felt like whatever my team did was also a reflection on me. So I was overperforming. And that makes you resentful, angry, right? Because the bottom line is that doing your best changes every day. And I remember reading the book thinking, and again, I'm a recovering perfectionist. So everything had to be perfect, right? I didn't want my name on anything that wasn't perfect. And when I think about it now, even though it was very important to me then, it sounds a little crazy to me now in retrospect because we all were responsible for our own lessons, right? And I couldn't control what they did. And I tried. Trust me, I tried. I don't know if you've ever heard in a presentation the 5 by 5 or the 7 by 7 rule. And it's basically knowing your content well enough to be able to teach from a 5 word title and then only have 5 bullet points or 7, right? At the time, most of my team wasn't doing that. They were putting like a whole story on one page of a presentation, and that got under my skin. I cannot tell you how much that got under my skin. I would come to meetings and present like the 5 by 5, and then I thought I was doing something by saying, but you could do 7 by 7. Because that was not how their process worked. That was not what they did. And at the time, I didn't have um, anybody over me in leadership that was enforcing that. So I was basically spinning my own wheels. So the do your best, I had to take away the perfectionism part, right? Because it wasn't going to be perfect because I couldn't control it all. And I didn't need to control it all. And so when I began to pull back on that, it also allowed other people to sort of step up in spaces that I was filling. There was a time where I was asking them for all their content. I was making the presentation. I was doing all of that work, right? Spending all of that energy. So that is the lesson that really, really spoke to me. What is my best today? And not somebody else's definition. So, what is your best today? What is the best that you can do? Right? We give our power away when our words control our identity. Other people's behavior controls our self worth. Right? So your assumptions can sometimes control emotions. Perfection also controls our ability to be present. So we can take our power back by choosing our own words, by separating ourselves from other people's behaviors, by choosing to be curious rather than make assumptions, and allowing our best to be enough, not overdoing it so much that we're resentful, because then you bring that energy, in my case, into a training, and then that's not good, right? Also, keep in mind that listening to your body gives you clues, right? When you're assuming too much, when you're overdoing it, right? Think about when your jaw clenches. Think about when your shoulders come up to your ears. Think about the tightness in your chest because of what someone says to you or how someone responds to you. The exhaustion that comes from constantly trying to be everything to everybody. And once you begin to tune in, you have to pause, name what you're feeling, not judge it, not shame it. Name what you're feeling, right? Ask the question, what is my body telling me about where I'm spending too much energy? So maybe a powerful 4-question daily practice would be a great takeaway. What did I say today? Maybe that I wish I hadn't said. And maybe think about, again, the words that you're speaking to yourself, your internal dialogue. What did I say today to myself that I wish I hadn't said? And then just notice. No shaming, no judging yourself. Question 2. Where did I make someone's behavior about me? Maybe notice the story that you created around that, taking on their behaviors, right? Trying to control them, really. So, where did I make someone else's behavior about me? Number 3, What did I assume that I didn't actually know? Separating facts from a story. What did I assume that I didn't actually know? And then number four, did I do my best today? Or was I trying to prove myself to somebody for some reason? Did I do my best today? Or did I try to prove myself? Or did I just allow? Taking your power back doesn't mean becoming harder. I think it means just becoming more intentional and control, right? You don't have to control everybody. Sometimes you can just allow. You don't have to make everybody understand you all the time. Let your words stand, let your actions stand. You don't have to win every argument. You don't have to over explain your decisions, right? Are you trying to seek that approval? Is that why you're over explaining? And I tell myself this a lot. You don't have to be perfect. You don't. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to react to everything. Some things you can just let go. Let that person's actions be their actions. Even if they're a family member and you feel embarrassed. I think that one's big for our community because we are looked at as a collective where other communities are looked at as individuals, right? So I think a lot of time we take on a lot of that. I know, and I don't watch the news so much anymore because oof, I'm an empath. I just can't take it. But I can remember hearing stories on the news about someone doing something horrific and praying that it wasn't somebody that looked like me. So I think as a community, and I think that has positive as well as negative effects, but I think we can't take all that on all the time. Sometimes taking your power back can be really simple. It can be pausing, noticing what's going on, learning your patterns, and questioning yourself, right? Noticing emotions, taking a breath, noticing where your body is responding with tightness, and then choosing how to proceed. As I get older, the more I realize that peace really isn't about controlling everything around me. It's more about becoming more intentional about what I give my attention and my energy to, right? What I give my words and what I give my power to. So this week, I want you to pay attention to where you're giving your power away. Just begin to notice. And typically, at the end of my Tap In Tuesday mindfulness and meditation sessions, I offer this. Allow this experience, allow these messages to marinate, to integrate. And sometimes that means journaling. Sometimes that means just sitting with something for a minute before you rush off to the next thing. So that's your task. Where are you giving your power away? And what would it look like to take some of that power back? If you're still here, please like and subscribe, right? Like my Subscribe to my channel, like this video, share it. Think about the pause. Think about how you regulate, knowing that regulation doesn't mean you're not angry. It just means that you're taking a little more time to decide what to do with the information, the stimulus that has just found you, right? Thinking about boundaries, about clarity, and coming home to yourself and home to your body. I really do think we all have something that we need to do in this world, fulfilling our purpose, using our gifts. I think our gifts are particular to us. There is not another person out there that is like you. You can only do a certain thing in the way that you do it. I am opening up myself to talk about basically nervous system regulation because I want us to be who God created us to be. Your voice is needed, your presence is needed. So don't forget to remember what you already know. My name is Gail. I'm a trauma informed yoga instructor, mindfulness meditation, and somatic educator. Be well.